Good morning and welcome to the drupa Cube. Before I introduce now our host and speaker, please note that the Cube content is designed to meet your needs. We need your feedback to achieve this. Please use the QR code and link we will show you at the end of the session. Gareth has been writing about developments in the printing industry since 1983, attending every drupa since then. His perspective and commentary on industry developments and technology is unmatched by any other journalist in the printing sector. He's joined today by Mark Stephenson from Fujifilm and Filip Weymans from Xeikon. Please join me in warmly welcoming our host and speakers to the stage.
Thank you. I'm also editor of this magazine, fine magazine. Copies are available at the bottom of Hall 8. You can pick up a few. There are a few left. Take them with you. We don't want to take them home. We want them to go to good homes. So welcome. This is a gladiatorial debate. So we've sought inspiration from some of the films that have featured gladiators in the past. So may I introduce to you from the film Gladiator, this is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the north, general of the Falcon legions, loyal to the true emperor Marcus Aurelius, father of a murdered son, husband of a murdered wife, and he will have his vengeance in this life or the next. And Mark is taking inspiration from Kirk Douglas' movie Spartacus. So Mark is Spartacus. So I hope you remember that at the end. Remember, this is a gladiatorial contest. We want blood, we want guts, we want questions from you that are savage and cut right to the quick. So to begin with, Filip, Maximus, can you tell us why toner technologies are here to prevail and are a better choice for printers to be involved with than Inkjet?
Quality. I think that's the main thing that you have. The aspect that you create your image like you do in offset printing by using light, writing down the image onto a plate that is then refreshed every time. But the fact that it provides dot consistency, the formation of the dot is very consistent, and that actually is contributing to the concept of quality.
But has toner technology reached the end of the road in terms of development?
Well, I think if you take a walk here around the exhibition, you find some very fancy toner technology that is ready to bring us in the next decade of high volume, high quality printing, where today there is no solution, and where there is a confirmation of the toner systems that are out there for quite a while, that they're a very good business model or a very good product to allow people to enter their market, because not everybody's looking for volume. There are some people that are looking for affordable investments and still delivering high quality. And that is again where toner has that broad spectrum of capabilities.
And toner is at the heart of one of the largest stands, one of the largest halls at this show.
Indeed.
Mark, Spartacus, why is Inkjet the technology of the future? We've heard that toner is very good. It offers quality, it offers speed, it offers performance. Can Inkjet ever match that?
Yes, and I think it is now. I think actually I could prove to you by showing you certain products, so I'm not going to mention the name of, that Inkjet is possible to exceed the quality of toner and even exceed the quality of Inkjet. It's easy to get your mind set on high-speed Inkjet and think that is where Inkjet is. But Inkjet is far more than that. Sheet-fed Inkjet is bringing higher quality. I can think of two examples of manufacturers selling at the show this week who have higher quality certainly than toner, and one of them, no names mentioned, certainly better than litho. And I never thought I'd say that. As a trained letterpress compositor who had the choice when I left school to choose either litho or letterpress, I went with the choice of the future, letterpress. So you can trust me to help you make the right choice today. But no, I won't get burned again. This time I'm choosing the right technology, and that's Inkjet. Its broad scope far surpasses anything to do with toner. And I think if you went around the show and decided to look at all of the Inkjet, right the way from high speed to sheet fed to UV to stream, aqueous, solvent. Can I make a big list of different types of inkjet? It's far wider than toner, which basically you've got a couple of types. You're wet or you're dry.
But isn't that entirely confusing for printers to have to try to pick their way through this selection of different types of ink technology, different applications, different print heads? The print heads, I understand, are
Yeah,
are quite
it's a bit like walking into a Starbucks and saying, I just want a coffee, because there's so many other choices you can make. But with the right partner who can guide you in those technologies, a partner who probably has more than one technology to offer, then they can help you make the right choice. And there'll always be something for the particular application you have. Some have a wider range than others. But I personally would rather have the choice to get the right tool for the job, rather than have to make do with shoehorning something into a space that doesn't suit it.
So we grant that Inkjet has the leading position in terms of printing on wide format and on materials and fabrics and things. But what about the document space? What about the space that most printers here at drupa, rather than at FESPA, are going to be interested in? Is Inkjet able to offer a cost-effective quality solution that allows people to give up their litho presses?
Yes, it definitely is, and we've proved that via a certain company that I won't mention the name of again. But with multiple machines have been sold that are making a profit. Now, I'm not saying it's suitable for everything. If you have a limited budget, you want to buy a smaller machine at a low investment, and you have a low volume to produce, then by all means, toner is very fit for the job. And also some higher volumes too. And certain substrates are still better with toner than they are with inkjet. But the range and the potential of inkjet is far wider. And we can't dismiss the other areas of inkjet that exist and jetting technologies, because all of these different areas of research help to advance the cause and bring us technologies that work in the commercial space as well. So we've got, on the one hand, high speed with maybe a lower quality, and then we've got a medium speed with a very, very high quality.
Philip, I'm worried.
No, well, don't worry. I mean, jetting technology, I don't know if everybody understands it, so I call it paintball technology. You're shooting bubbles over a distance of, 1.5, 1 millimeter, and you're hoping that that bubble, that paintball, is hitting the substrate at the right spot. But that technology certainly has a place in the market. I mean, there are some of the leading guys in toner technology here. They also embrace inkjet, but for the right reason. For example, by making digital combination presses, where they are using the toner technology for creating the high quality part of, for example, labels and packaging, and using the inkjet technology, very robust, thick layers, high opacity, tactile look and feel, replicating or reproducing there what you would do in conventional printing, the screen effect, for example, screen printing effect, or for the spot varnishing aspect, or for example, the tactile. So for sure they have a combination, but as soon as you go back to quality, and I heard somewhere in Spartacus' words that he mentioned depending on substrates. Well, what kind of substrates? If you look to toner-based systems, majority of them, not all of them, you have to really, as within inkjet technology, look to the right one. You see that some of them are indeed capable of printing on standard materials. Standard, maybe even the most challenging materials. Think about very absorbing substrates, natural papers, for example. Tremendously difficult to print with liquid systems. Talking about inkjet then again. And there with toner systems, you will be able to maintain your color density, your dot positioning, dot formation consistently throughout the run. So there is a fit, but as soon as when you come to quality, I think you go back to toner.
But what about speed? What about volume and higher volume applications? Is toner capable of achieving these? Is toner limited in terms of the writing speed and in terms of the writing width?
Yeah, majority of the toner systems out there today are indeed systems that have been able to deliver a solution, or what people say in the lower productivity market. And what has happened at inkjet, if you make I'll try to draw a graph. quality, productivity. Here's where you have the toner systems that have been there for many years already, delivering quality and somewhat lower productivity. Inkjet has started in various segments and has grown in terms of productivity. What I see as a trend now is that Inkjet is trying to go up into that higher segment of quality, but at the same time also the toner guys are migrating to the left, providing solutions for high productivity. And if you look around, you would find them. The thing is, these systems are maybe a bit more proprietary in the sense of the toner developments are a full ecosystem. Press, writing heads, inks. So the amount of suppliers might be more limited, where with Inkjet, you get like everybody can actually buy a head and say from I do Inkjet, and suddenly you get like 1 million suppliers out there, but are they all delivering a solution for you? So there might be from, I don't know how you say that, it's like you have like a wildfire of a lot of information coming out of Inkjet, but you have to filter out what's really fitting for your business, where in the toner sites maybe you get lesser amount of information, but it's more concrete, to the point, and addressing the, and talking about the application you want to do.
And toner has been proven for many years.
It's proved for many years, and there's new technology coming out that goes into that high speed, at a lower cost even.
So higher speeds and lower cost with toner than Inkjet. Is this the message?
Depends on, and I will be honest, I'll give Spartacus some leeway. As soon as you go into the higher coverage type of environment, magazines, the high direct mail coverage, that's where toner system will play. We're not there to do the lower quality, low coverage type of work. I mean, that's, I think, where we'll give that space to Inkjet. Everybody has to survive a bit. So we'll give that bone to Inkjet, and we will stay in the high quality, the magazine type of work, high coverage. That's where toner will be the competitor, and today is the competitive technology.
So from that, Inkjet is great for transactional documents, for books where there is relatively low coverage of the ink, because paper will absorb water-based inks, and you cannot put that much high impact, high density color on without ruining the paper, and that clearly brings you problems. True. Is this going to change?
It's already changed. Not all inks are water-based. So there's a machine on the market today you can buy that is UV for the commercial market. No mention of names, it's not one of ours. Also, there is high-quality inkjet that's available that coats the sheet before it's printed, allowing any litho stock to go through the machine. And I have to challenge you, Philip, because I can't remember your Roman name, because it's too long.
This is Maximus, Decidius, Meridius.
Exactly, that's the one. So I have to challenge your perception of quality. I don't know about you, I'm not satisfied with toner quality. I've seen toner quality at its best, and it's still not good enough. Inkjet can surpass that. And you haven't been to the right stand yet. You need to visit another stand. You can follow me afterwards and come and look at true inkjet quality, because it's miles apart. We can print, certain presses can print cool grey with reverse out text that a litho printer would shake his head at. A litho printer would say, God didn't intend cool grey to be separated out of 4 colours. That's for a spot, but I can show you it. And for all your talk, sorry, Philip, about this and whatever your Roman name is, about quality and about jetting ink and paintball, it doesn't matter. Look at the quality. If it's right, who cares how it's made? I don't. I don't care how many dots per inch it is. I don't care how the dot got on the paper. If it looks good, I'm going to have it. And it just happens to be inkjet.
Well, last time I played a paintball gun, I was trying to hit the guy who was standing right in front of me, and I was aiming my gun, and that little ball flew out and hit a tree. Didn't hit the guy. And that's a bit, if you fire off your bubble out of your inkjet head, it flies there for 1.5 millimeters, and you're hoping that it lands there, and that there's not suddenly a wind coming from the west or from the east or the south, or that your substrate has an unevenness. And that's actually what I try to find it worrying, to understand where you can deliver that a consistency from. Maybe on more, how would I say, more forgiving substrates, more forgiving applications. No, I can agree with that. But in a single pass, where you really are going to go for high quality?
Absolutely. You need to get off your own stand and look somewhere else.
Well, the funny thing is that on our stand, we've got the 3 technologies. Oh, 4, sorry, 3. we got something what they call liquid toner.
Yep.
we got something what they call dry toner, and they've been proving themselves. I mean, they're paying my salary. They pay even this fancy jacket. By the way, this red is not my blood. It's the color of my jacket. And we got Inkjet on there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think we got some kind of an idea what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have to give you one thing. It is UV inkjet that we're using on our stand.
Yep.
So I might not be as well educated with water-based inkjet, but just the concept of water. I mean, when I went to school, I might look like a very young guy, but I learned to write with a, how do you call that pen with ink in there?
Yeah.
Fountain pen.
A fountain pen? Okay, fountain pen. In Flemish, a vulpen. And I remember, because I was left-handed, I always struggled with the fact that when I was writing with it, the ink was not dry and I was swiping it off. So I had to put that paper on there to suck it up and to make sure that I was not... What's different between that type of ink?
Yeah.
Maybe, okay, different concept how you bring it, but that type of ink and water-based inkjet, I mean, it's the same thing. It was like, no.
I mean, that's the benefit of the wide scope of jettable materials and materials deposition. With inkjet heads or with heads that jet, you can jet living organisms, you can jet food-based items, you can jet silver circuit boards, you can jet all kinds of things. And because so much research is going on, that's benefiting the commercial print space, because some of the principles there are coming over into the commercial print space, and we're seeing we haven't got left-handed fountain pen writing. We're jetting dots with the perfection of a right hand. Have we got all your right-handed people here, I hope? No, I don't want to insult any left-handed people. Are you left-handed? That's all right. He's my boss. I can't upset him. So, but if you have the technology to jet a dot at such velocity, it hasn't got a chance to go anywhere else. You don't need to worry about the wind coming from the west or from the east. You jet the dot with such velocity, it's got nowhere else to go but hit the paper. And you can see on certain stands that I could lead you to later, inkjet running at 300 meters a minute. And that creates a lot of turbulence when paper is moving that fast at 300 meters a minute, but it's still hitting the right spot. So, unfortunately, your argument doesn't hold water. Is that a pun? Sorry.
But you say about the materials that you can jet in terms of electronic circuitry. Are the printing machines that we're seeing capable of printing more than the CMYKs? Can they start to print the metallic effects, the neon effects, the other materials that add value beyond CMYK?
Yeah, absolutely. There are technologies in solvent, in latex, technologies in UV that can add metallic effects as well. Personally, we don't have them on our stand. I'm not telling you what that is, of course. I keep forgetting I'm not promoting our company. Yes, there are many different things that can be jetted, and silver and whatever can be jetted if you want to. The other good thing about inkjet is the color gamut. And I'm glad you reminded me of that, is that in general, with inkjet, you don't necessarily need to add special spot colors because the color gamut is so much wider than both toner and litho.
Are you really certain about that? Because I attended a course from Avery Dennison, unbiased, third party, I would say, biggest supplier of label material in the market, and they presented their study over different technologies, showing that if you're not priming a wine label material and using water-based inkjet on it, actually the color gamut is shrinking. Now, I was a bit surprised, so I actually did some research. I tried to figure out those things with him. And it's all down about the aspect, again, that those materials, and okay, there might be very special ones, but also I think in general commercial print, you might have uncoated stocks. They start to suck up that thing, and then the whole, and as soon as you put a primer on, boom, they're there again. So I think the disadvantage that inkjet has is that there is so many applications, but if you, for example, doing a application, you have to understand that what head it is, who's supplying you the ink, is it a multi-pass, single pass? Is it going to be a productive solution? So yes, inkjet can do a lot, but really in a commercial solution for everything, and I think that's where we are now. I mean, I found it actually when I'm on the social media, I tried to follow a bit of it. And there were some people claiming again that this drupa was going to be the drupa of the inkjet. I thought to myself, oh my God, should I respond to that? I mean, we're doing this already for two drupas. I mean, how long are we going to, like, say, support the technology if it cannot stand on its own? Huh? And it does stand on its own. I think there's a lot of in the document space. It did prove for us to be another target in terms of productivity, having a quality that people are appreciating, but not having the productivity and setting there a milestone, a landmark where we say, oh, that's where we have to migrate to. So there is a fit, but I think there's a lot of room still for a lot of dry toner solutions that are out there. And as I said before, I'm very happy to use inkjet technology for the right reason. High opaque white, spot varnish type of printing, good fit.
So Spartacus, one of the issues that keeps coming up, and is famously known, that the price of inkjet ink is more expensive than the best champagne. Does this cause problems when printers are going to have to start to work out their costs, particularly if they're receiving files for brochures or for flyers, that they don't know what the total ink coverage of that artwork is, and they're not going to know, but they've got to give the customer a price.
Yes.
So is there a danger that they charge too low a price and find that they're paying this much for the ink and their profit disappears?
Yep.
Is that, is that big? I see that as a big concern.
It is one of the challenges. And when you look at commercial litho work, for example, if you look across a shift, and we analyze several shifts of our customers on B2 litho work, short run. And we calculated what was the average coverage out of 400%, what was the average coverage across a whole shift. I was surprised it was so low, it was 55%. Because there's a lot of white space on jobs. There's a lot of space where there's text, there's a lot of space where it's a light tint. And on those areas, you're saving money against toner, certainly. You're saving money against the cost of a click. And we all love clicks, don't we? So there's a chance there to save some money. On the heavier areas, yes, it's this balance, but in general, it pays off. You end up with a level. So if you're in a certain market, say you're in the photo market, you know your cost base on ink is going to be higher than if you're in the book market. And you pitch accordingly and you sell accordingly to that. And in general, talk to our customers who are using inkjet in the commercial environment, and they have found a way of leveling this out, sometimes by market space, sometimes by customer. With a large customer where you want to contract for a certain kind of work, then you can be very competitive on light coverage work, or you can push your high quality advantage. And we're finding that people who want high quality inkjet will actually pay more than litho for it. And they're prepared to do that because they want the reliability, the consistency, the high quality and color gamut of an inkjet job. Even up to runs of several thousands, rather than what people would think it would just be the domain of several hundreds.
And the cost argument from a toner point of view, if the toner presses are starting to go faster and starting to offer higher quality, is that going to be very expensive? Is that going to start to make that type of printing more expensive than litho, and more too expensive for the market to bear?
Well, what are you comparing it with? We're not going to deliver, or digital is certainly not delivering a solution for litho printer in the millions. Digital printing has to be positioned at the right spot in the market, being a complement to conventional printing, allowing you to do more cost-effective printing on the medium to short runs, and allowing you to do your business differently. That's where you have to position digitally, and that's where the value is. If you then look into toner costs, because I don't want to evade your question, I think and we have historical data. We go back to the 90s where we started selling these kind of things. And in our case, and we can only talk for us then, we've seen that our toner costs have declined with more than 25% throughout time. So there is for sure a concern in our case, or the concern from the customers where they say, oh, that's a bit, that's pricey. Well, we work on making, for example, the covering powers much stronger from toners. But at the same time, if you look into the higher quality, the newer technologies that are coming out in toner space, there's a dramatic change in cost there. Simply because when you start from a clean shade, from a clean page, and you start to define your new technology, you can really start from day one on focusing on reducing your costs, utilizing parts that have a much higher lifetime, utilizing toners that require much less raw materials, and that's actually where the basis of cost comes from. Use a lot less raw materials to create a toner with the same covering power.
Spartacus, can we come back to a point that our colleague mentioned earlier on, that this is possibly going to be Inkjet drupa number 3. What it means, I think, is that we've been promised Inkjet, and it's still not there.
Certainly from some suppliers, yeah.
And I believe there is one of the companies that's attracting an awful lot of attention here is using what is an Inkjet technology, albeit in a slightly different way. That drew a lot of attention at the last drupa. It's drawing a lot of attention at this drupa, but it is still not ready. Is this one of those technologies that's always going to be 50% better next time, but never quite achieve the 100% that it's promised?
No, I believe it's achieved 100% now in certain spaces and from certain manufacturers. Some people made promises that were a little adventurous, maybe premature in their statements, and they're struggling now to keep up with them. And the easiest thing for them to do is just to roll back the specs and deliver what they've got, but they're not asking me for advice. I think what's happened is, as people have got more and more down the road of Inkjet, they've realized it's not easy. And printing single-pass Inkjet, certainly, to commercial standards is a challenge. But if you have a company that has Inkjet heads within its portfolio, it has the inks that it manufactures itself, and it has the imaging technology to be able to make those images look acceptable or high quality, then go for the company that has them all under their control. The issue becomes when you've got somebody buying a head from here, an ink from there, and a machine mechanism from somewhere else. It's very hard for them to deliver everything on time. You need those technologies in-house, and in that case, it's getting delivered. And nothing comes out tomorrow because somebody thought of it today. It takes a while for these technologies to mature, and the reason we've had Inkjet drupa after Inkjet drupa is the potential is so massive, and the progress is so great. I'm disappointed we've got a drupa 3 years' time because we'll have so much more to show. We've got to wait another year now before we can show you what we've done in those few years, and it's going leaps and bounds. And Philip, I'm sorry, toner is just going to be a sideline very soon, and toner will take over, and so enjoy it while you can.
Well, I heard actually that the company in Hall 9 were the guys that asked for an additional year. It's because of them that drupa moved back to 4-year cycle rather than 3-year cycle.
Do you think they've got that power?
Well, they have a big marketing budget for sure, and they make a lot of big statements also.
Right.
Are there some questions for our 2 gladiators from the audience? We'll take a couple of questions and see what you've got to say. You must have some opportunity. There must be some concerns in your own businesses about which is the direction that you would like to take your next purchasing decisions, either at this drupa or the next one or in the period. The elegant gentleman at the back. If you'd like to state your name, Richard.
Yeah, I'm Richard Gray, Print Future. I came in halfway through, so I may have missed it, but have either of you been talking about the difficulties of upgrades? Because I've had a look at some of the equipment on the Inkjet side, where there are people who have thought through the upgrade paths very clearly, and others where it appears there hasn't been any thought about upgrades. And given that the technology is changing so rapidly and the opportunities are changing so rapidly, I think it's very difficult because in general the Inkjet equipment is very expensive, and it's very difficult for smaller companies to outlay that kind of expenditure and then find in 2 years' time the technology is outdated.
So a thrust at the Inkjet. You're accused, or is there a way that a company investing today can ensure that they have a technology and a platform that is going to change and adapt with their needs as they grow and not leave them stranded as their competitor who waits 2 years for a decision can come in with a much faster, much more effective machine?
It's an issue with whatever you buy. Whatever you buy, there'll be something better tomorrow. When I buy a TV, I wish I bought the one that was coming out next week because it's got extra satellite channels or a fancier remote or something like that. And it's always been the way. And the way that generally the copier market and the toner production machine market has gone is you go on some kind of rolling lease. And after 2 years, they take that one back and give you another one, but extend it by a few years. The opportunity there with Inkjet is as long as you have a solid transport mechanism, you have the ability to pass paper under the heads, then the heads can be upgraded. And I can only talk for our own product, but certainly on the Inkjet sheet-fed press that we have, we've had head upgrades in the past, and we've upgraded all our customers with that technology to the latest. So there certainly is possible to have upgrade paths, and the main development for Inkjet is in the inks and the heads. So we can upgrade inks quite easily, we can upgrade heads not so easily, but you'd have to replace the whole machine, certainly.
So if we were to invest in a continuous feed inkjet press, and then in the future new head technology became available, would that be a swappable upgrade, or is
depending on the manufacturer and how they've decided to build their units and their policy? For commercial reasons, some manufacturers may say, well, I'm not going to allow that. And it's the same with toner. I don't think there's any difference with the way toner systems work.
Oh no, I do like to take you around and to show you that indeed it shows you how mature actually the toner technology is, and that where if you then look into the space of toner, that there are indeed companies that make a commercial choice to say from, all right, we're going to flip this customer over and over and over and over and over again and force them into a platform where there are other suppliers already since 2008, from this drupa onwards, that have provided a platform that where a customer can start with something that fits their business, that fits maybe with their stomach feeling also, because for a lot of companies jumping into digital, they're still like from, I know it's the right choice, but how is it going to turn out? Because, I mean, the whole company has to be behind that decision. But that you have provide a startup model that you can, on the spot, upgrade either in print width capability, in speed capability, in application capability, by utilizing different toners, for example. That exists. I mean, there are some guys out there that have a big mouth indeed, and that talk about their clicks and all their turning the models around and those type of things. But there are companies also that care about the industry, because when you make an investment, I sense somewhere that Fuji is also in the same area, that when you make an investment in a digital press, then that's not an investment for the next year, but probably for the next 4, 5, 6 years. You would prefer to utilize that machine to the full extent. And if the market out there is exchanging, you need to be able to change your equipment as well without having to do a forklift upgrade, as some of them call it. So that exists but it's let's call it rather a business philosophy than maybe a technology restriction, where there might be more evolution there. No. There might be more variety of developments where it might make it difficult for digital to make the choice from, am I now have to switch to water-based UV, or just UV or solvent, or it might be a bit more challenging.
Do we have any more would like to pick up on the opportunity to ask these fine specimens of masculinity, warriors? Any more questions? There's a question over there. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Richard Fidzik. I'm from Sage Publishing in the UK. I just had a question about substrates. So we do a lot of printing, but there is a certain restriction on the availability of different substrates, particularly on inkjets. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on the prospects for cheaper and more wide variety in the future.
Yeah, certainly on high-speed inkjet, then yes, there are some restrictions on how quickly you can dry a substrate and how it will accept ink. There are systems in high-speed inkjet now with pre-coating from several manufacturers that help to get you onto a wider range, and it's generally the holy grail on high-speed inkjet is to try and get a more silky or more shiny stock rather than a matte stock. And you'll see at the show, if you visit several stands, there are several providers of papers that are either treated in some way, a little bit silkier, or they're going on to straightforward litho stocks, coated litho stocks. In the sheet-fed inkjet market, also there's a pre-coat on the sheet with a water-based ink that means just about any substrate can go through, including plastics, including canvas, including untreated litho stocks, including recycled stocks that would normally, without the coating, the ink would just leach into the surface. So it's improving all the time. And the upgrades here are coming from a collaboration of the ink manufacturer, along with the press manufacturer, along with the paper manufacturer. And they're all working together, and there's a lot of focus from the paper manufacturers on that area. They can see where that growth is coming. and they're getting ready for that with their paper mill lines at the moment in the amount of opportunity they see. And so everybody's leapfrogging each other at the moment. Every month or two, a new stock comes out that's slightly better than the last one, and then another mill comes out with another one. So again, the potential is there, and it's moving nice and quickly.
Do you have this problem?
Of what was explained, that recycled material are absorbing?
Well, just generally that you have to take a paper and then do something with it before you can print on it.
Let me think. Are there applications? No. Oh, at least not when you're using dry toner. No, can't think of any. Not on papers. There might be some special ones, and I'm talking then about maybe vinyls, and that's again where inkjets maybe then better on the large format type of stuff. But if you use to the standard materials, and by the way, it's even recyclable.
Well, this is something I'd like to pick up. With a water-based ink, you have water, and you don't want water. You've got to get rid of the water. There needs, certainly on the continuous feed presses, there seems to be an awful lot of pipe work associated with them to extract the air, to dry the paper as it goes through, and that requires energy.
Yes.
So you're paying a lot for the ink. You're paying a lot for the energy to run these machines.
You can be without some advancements in ink technologies. For instance, one of the technologies that's coming forward now into aqueous inkjet is to add latex to the ink. And this helps it to stick to the paper and dry more quickly. So that's being addressed. But yes, on high-speed inkjet, drying is one of the challenges that you have. It can restrict the speed that you go at and the coverage that you have. And if you're looking for that kind of solution, then the only way to get that speed is inkjet. Toner just won't go that fast. So you're a bit of a Hobson's choice, really. So we're working to try and solve that one. When it comes to larger formats, where you want to go to a bigger sheet and achieve high quality, then the drying is not, the speed is not so fast, so there's more time for drying, and the energy required is not so high.
And do you have a problem once the inkjet ink is on the paper in terms of recyclability of that paper?
No, it's actually one product I'm thinking of from a company I'm not going to mention came top of their list of recyclable digital print as far as its ability to be recycled. May not be the case with liquid toner, Philip. Do you know?
Liquid toner depends which one you're using, indeed.
One's got a bad name.
And actually, the sad thing is that that those guys are having very strong force to manipulate certain things. But if you look to the dry toner systems, because in the where you have a variety of inkjet technologies, you do have some variety of toner technologies. High viscosity toner, for example, high viscosity liquid toner, low viscosity liquid toner, and dry toner. And you look, for example, to the high viscosity liquid toner and dry toner, they are all recyclable in the standard. And that's what Ingeday has even confirmed for many years. On the low viscosity thing, there are different opinions there, I would say.
So with the inkjet, you have to be careful about the inkjet technology that you choose if you're thinking of being environmentally aware, both for your own business and for your customers' business.
Yep.
So it's not simply saying all inkjets are easily recyclable.
Nope.
You have to
ask the vendor that you're talking to, what's the recyclability of this product, and does it match my standards? And make sure that vendor has thought about that, and even considered it. You might find some will just look very blankly at you because they've never even thought of the problem or the issue.
So, any other questions there before I continue? Because I'd like to move briefly into future applications. I mean, for digital technologies, at this show there is an awful lot of technology around the packaging area. The idea that packaging, either cartons or flexibles, can and will become digital in the very near future.
Yep.
Is inkjet the technology that will allow you to do from label printing through carton printing through wider film flexible printing?
Yeah, you'll see examples of all of those here at the show. You'll see the reverse side printing onto flexible films for pouches, etc. You'll see inkjetting onto carton board. You'll also see inkjetting onto light corrugated and even heavy corrugated as well. And that's the other plus point that I've forgotten. Thanks for reminding me. You can only get toner onto a substrate a certain thickness. After a certain amount, you can't put the energy through the paper to be able to fuse. But with inkjet, obviously, you could print on something almost as thick as you like, because you can take the heads to the object in some cases. So there's a lot more possibility with that.
So you can't print corrugated board and...
We do like to share the graphic market with other technologies. And so if we go to signage, multipass, UV inkjet, and for large formats, please, that's for the inkjet. If you go to corrugated world, then, and we're talking about printing on the corrugated board itself, rather not on the liner material that would be laminated, please, feel free. We're very happy to stay within markets like the folding carton, the flexible packaging, the label market, where value is very much appreciated. Corrugated is, in the display market, certainly a good fit. But if you look to the mainstream corrugated, we'll have to see if the people appreciate the value there. If you talk about the capability of a toner system into the folding carton and into the flexible packaging, then one of the things that, yes, we have been working there, or some people have been working there on solutions there. And what has happened is that throughout that time, people understood also what the requirements of that market are. Meaning, people are not just printing pretty pictures. No, people are printing pretty pictures and at the same time can tell you how to varnish it, how to die cut it, how to crease it, how to maybe potentially embellish it, again, indicating to you what kind of food standards they comply with, ensuring you that the light fastness is there. So a solution where you walk out this exhibition and tomorrow morning don't wake up and say oh gosh, I forgot to ask that question. Is it going to be food-approved? Can I be using it? And that's something that shows that should give the confidence to the industry to continue investing into these toner systems.
We've heard an awful lot from both of our gladiators. But which one do you think has emerged on top? We've had a passionate description of some of the advantages of toner technology as it exists, as it is working today in high quality, in broader applications. We've heard great advocacy for the future of inkjet and how it is starting to emerge into some of these applications. That there are people using the technology and starting to use that technology. It's got a way to catch up because I think toner technology has been around 20 or so years. But what do you think? Which one has won? Which of our gladiators has emerged victorious? If you think that Maximus Decius Meridius has won, can you give him the thumbs up?
Oh, yeah.
And if you think that Spartacus has won, can you say, I'm Spartacus?
I'm Spartacus.
That's 5 fingers. That's not a thumb. It doesn't count.
don't count him. Yeah, we've already marked.
Thank you very much, and could you give combatants a round of applause? Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Good fun.